It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilley.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I know the anxiety that comes with watching a loved one struggle with a nonlinear path. This podcast was created to fight back against the narrow picture of success painted by social media. Each week we share authentic stories from people who changed course, maybe failed, and ultimately found their own definition of success. These are the stories you need to hear to prove that changing your mind is common, and you don't have to have it all figured out at 18. If you're a parent or you're a young adult looking for a little proof, you're home. Now let's get into today's episode. And if you'd like to explore how I can help your young adult, you can schedule a free consultation through my website link in the show notes. Today, my guest is Adam Salzman. Adam is based in Colorado, where he lives with his life partner. He's a lifelong learner and avid traveler, drawn to a more minimalist, vagabond style of exploring the world. Adam is the founder and director of a student travel and work program operating across the U.S. and internationally, focused on helping young people gain real-world experience beyond the classroom. You'll kind of hear me riff during this interview, like I am promoting the heck out of the program that he has created because it's actually really impressive. So if you've never heard of it, definitely check it out in the show notes. I'll stop blabbing now. Let's jump into the interview. Here's Adam. All right, Adam, I'm excited to have you as a guest. Thanks for being here.
So stoked to be here. Thanks so much, Joanna.
We both just talked about how we're both in the upstairs parts of our houses just because we're like, this is where we need to be. So not our usual office space, but I'm just grateful that you're here and that we're taking the time to sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so let's just dive right in. Why don't you tell our listeners, where did you grow up and what was the messaging that you were getting about what you were supposed to do after high school?
Yeah, I'm from Akron, Ohio, or a suburb in like Bath area outside of Akron, Ohio. And growing up, it was never a discussion. It was always high school straight on to college. That was really the expectation. And I've thought back to this many times. It wasn't actually explicitly communicated. It was implicitly understood. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, we don't need to say it. You're just going to school.
Yeah, of course you're going to college.
Yeah. It's more of the like, all right, so then where are you going? Right. So that ends up being more of that dialogue based on the admissions process. So why don't you actually go ahead and give us a little bit of kind of the insight into your story? Where did you end up going? If you want to name drop your school, if you don't, it's fine. But just tell us what the post-secondary experience and journey was like for you.
Yeah. Even though it was this implicit understanding I was going to college, my parents were very gracious about, they didn't put a lot of pressure about, you need to go here and study this. They really gave me the ownership. And for me, I approached it very casually. There's a rebel inside me. So I flex my rebel muscle and my rebel part anytime I can. So when I was 15, I snuck down to Athens, Ohio, where Ohio University is, and went to this festival that was essentially just a mud fest, a concert. And I've thought back, maybe I was the youngest kid that was actually at that festival. And then I came back and then my parents actually caught me that I went back. So it's good that they caught me. And then after we get through the point of tension, then I just said, oh yeah, and I think I'll probably go to Ohio University. So I ended up going to Ohio University is really what ended up happening. It's really the only place I applied to. And I actually got waitlisted because I didn't take high school very seriously. And my stepfather helped me write a letter about getting waitlisted. And I remember I can think back, I have no idea the words that I said, but I remember caring deeply about the message and it was actually honest. And that was the actual moment that I decided I wanted to go to college, which I found really meaningful. So I just think, kind of meaning finds you along the way. So I went on to Ohio University, studied finance because I met a cool guy at orientation that said he was studying finance. I was like, oh, that seems cool, but really had no idea what I was getting into. Then during college, I ended up spending about 9 months in China. It was sort of a study abroad that segued into a pseudo gap year where I studied at a university in Beijing, interned for a startup in Xi'an, and then taught English elsewhere in the country as well. So that was really kind of my post-secondary, at Ohio University.
Well, and that's so cool because obviously I know what it is that you're doing now, but I'm sure that some of these experiences also kind of informed the path that you ended up leading on to what it is that you're doing now. Okay, tell us. I mean, I feel like I could probably talk to you about China because I've got some questions, but we'll table that for right this second.
Okay.
So post-college, what did you end up doing? Go ahead and actually just start. I won't continue to be like, and what came next? What came next? Just like walk us through graduating on through to what it is that you're doing now. And then we're just going to kind of use that as an opportunity to pause and dig in at that point.
Perfect. Awesome. So in college, studying finance, really the critical piece in finance is to get an internship after your junior year that summer, because best case scenario, that segues into a full-time offer, which is exactly what happened. So I interned for Nissan Corporation. Their North American headquarters was in Nashville, Tennessee, or is in Nashville, Tennessee. So I spent the summer there between junior and senior year as a finance intern, had an absolute blast. It was really, really fun and super, super insightful. So they offered me a full-time position. I came into senior year with that and decided to accept that position. So I worked in finance for a few years with them. It was mainly in manufacturing finance, but also worked in treasury, so their cash management as well. I just realized pretty quickly in being there that that's just not the impact I want to make in the world. Both in that corporate setting, I don't think I really fit into that vibe, first of all. And secondly, just this idea of participating kind of behind the scenes in things and working for a large organization like that, it was very cool and I learned a lot. It just wasn't my impact. So I thought back to when I was in college, I worked as a study abroad advisor and as an international student advisor. So really from there, I just love this idea of international education because I had worked in both inbound and outbound. And then my brother was living in Colorado, so I'm living in Tennessee at the time, and he just said, hey, I think you should move out to Colorado. And I was just like, yeah, I guess I will. That sounds good. I guess there's a theme here, which I'm not even realizing, that I'm easily susceptible to people that I deeply care about and love and admire because they've never led me astray. So I just tend to be very amenable to their suggestions. So anyways, so he just said, you should move out to Colorado. My life partner at the time, her name's Jordan. She was working as an archaeologist and had just moved in with me in Nashville. And then I was like, hey, Alex wants us to move out to Colorado. Do you want to go? And she was like, yeah, let's go. So I found an organization that was bringing international students into the US for internships. So I was able to run kind of their Western region, really recruiting students from about 65 different countries for seasonal jobs and internships all across the American West. It was absolutely my calling. I loved every second of it. And then decided to now I'm running AdventureEXP, which is a travel and work program. So similar to the international programs, but we work exclusively with Americans, where first and foremost, we run programs all across the US because we live in the most racially and ethnically diverse country that's ever existed on the planet. So traveling as a tourist in our own country has transformative experiences. And we also have international programs elsewhere in Ireland and New Zealand and Australia, and we're opening up more countries. So yeah, I'm running AdventureEXP, which is the travel and work program. So I guess that was the, abridged version to get to what I'm doing now.
Well, and I love to, I have to say this because in what few interactions that we've had over the years, I'm like, I cannot picture you as a finance guy living in Nashville. Like, it just feels like that's otherworldly. And I'm glad you had that experience. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that it led you to taking these paths and diverging since, which you said, like, that's not my calling. That's not my purpose. Exactly. Like that's not my giving back. So I love that you kind of had that reflection and opportunity to determine. So let's actually do like a quick shameless plug. I know you kind of alluded to it, but for anybody, let's slow it down. For anybody that's listening, like, hold on, AdventureEXP, how do I get connected? What is that? You just kind of said some of it, but let's slow it down. Say it again.
Love it. So AdventureEXP, and thanks for the opportunity. You can find us on our website, AdventureEXP.com, and across all social channels at AXP_travel. Really what we do is we run what we call destination work programs. And my whole mission is that I believe travel is too powerful of a teacher, especially for young people, to be unaffordable. So I wanted to set out and create a model that allows students, where we now use this expression, our students earn their right to learn in a beautiful place. And it's that sense of ownership and responsibility that comes up when they're traveling to these places where most people only ever get to be a tourist if they get to travel to these places, and they get to live like a local and be there with a purpose. And really, maybe it's how it links with the topic of conversation that you're doing here, Joanna, is that our whole mission, the actual mission statement is our goal is to help young people feel more confident in whatever next step they take after the program, because the truth is there's no cookie cutter way to success. Success looks different for everybody, and giving them a platform to get inspired through travel, but then also make it real through work where they make money. All of that combination really comes together where they can find and define their own bliss, I think is really what AdventureEXP's mission is all about. So yeah, that's what it.
Well, and I'll just say that I'm biased by what it is that you're doing. And so obviously Adam knows this. I refer some of the young adults that I work with all the time to AdventureEXP because I love the mission. And to your point, especially knowing that the majority of opportunities available are stateside, we live in a really cool place. And even if you grow up, let's just say in Nashville, like go to Colorado for the winter, or go to Colorado for the spring, or go to Washington, or go to Maine. Just have an opportunity where not only are you working, because that's important, right? So we're like gaining all of those skills, self-confidence, experience, like time management, all these things that translate whether you're a student or an employee in a longer term position. But it also just kind of cracks open this space around not just wanderlust, but kind of dipping your toe into understanding that the world does not surround you, right? Like being in a different culture, all the things, right? Like if you go to the Gap Year Association website and you're like, what is something that somebody can walk away from a Gap experience? Like anything that's on their research list of like, here's what students will walk away with, like AdventureEXP checks all those boxes. And so I love that.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I agree with you profoundly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only other thing that I'll say, and this is why I'm not so secretly biased for anybody that has listened to my episode. And I'm not one to normally disclose my own personal experiences, but I'm going to because it does tie to the work that you're doing. When I graduated from college, I spent 4.5 years working seasonally. And a lot of people know that, and some people don't. Episode 200, if you're really curious. But for 4.5 years, I was in Wyoming for 3 months, and then I was in Vermont for 8 months, and then I was, like constantly on the go. And the one thing that I did not have, which I wish I had known that AdventureEXP existed, or I wish it had existed. Let's be real. I'm way older than AdventureEXP. Based on, like I said, my own personal experience, I think I could have benefited from AdventureEXP. And again, another plug for the work that you're doing. So let me ask this question before people listening are be like, shut up about like blowing smoke, towards Adam. Like, this is clearly awesome. I get the point. Now that you've shared all the things, do you see yourself as successful?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
I find, so this actually, my partner and I, we've been talking about this idea of wealth. We have wealth of time, wealth of energy, we have money, we have the autonomy to be able to make the decisions that we want out of our life. And the truth is, me getting to run this organization, which albeit it's not been easy, entrepreneurism, I would say, is the most difficult choice that I've made in my adult life. However, it does afford a lot of independence where I get to be the person I want to be. And the fact that when I leave this interview, I'm going to go bike on my favorite mountain biking trail in the world, and my dog is going to be running, chasing rabbits while, he and I are both having the time of our life. To me, how could that fit into any other box other than success? So yeah, I absolutely would consider myself successful.
All right, so let me ask this as a follow-up, because I feel like now that I know that it's me as the like gatekeeping between you and this biking opportunity between you and your dogs. Like I gotta wrap this up. I gotta wrap this up quick. No, the bigger question I actually have, and I love that you also named it, you were lucky in your points throughout your life, right? Like that other upperclassman who was saying, do finance, right? Your brother saying, hey, move to Colorado. Like you had great advice, you had great invitations, you were not led astray. So let's say somebody is hypothetically not that lucky. I'm going to go a little off script in my question. So if you could give advice to any young adult right now that's kind of in this place of contemplation, and maybe they don't have the luck that you had at some of these points in your young adult life, is there anything that you would share with them or suggest to them right in this moment?
Excellent question. The first thing coming up for me is, I think it's our power of discernment, being able to discern a helpful opportunity versus a detrimental opportunity, a person that's helping us get to where we want to be, or maybe inspiring us to consider a different place of where we're actually going, or someone that is actually, holding us back and things like that. It's all in discernment. And that's a learned skill where I think about let's just say we have limitless choices, limitless options, but a finite number of actual decisions, actual choices that we can make. And it's in the power of discernment. And as we're growing up, I think, and I see it a lot with young people in our program, that they find themselves in paralysis through analysis. Just a core idea that I hold is that I believe being decisive is always better than being indecisive, because even when you make a bad decision, you're delivered with more information, and therefore your next decision can be that much more effective. So I would say decisiveness, and in doing so, powers of discernment.
Would you believe me, folks, if I told you that I did not front load Adam with that question being asked? Like, holy cow, what an awesome answer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh.
I think about this all the time, because you and I, we get to see so many young people, and some kids I just want to hug, some I want to shake, some I just want to bring and have a bonfire with them and just talk about everything and nothing. Some kids I just want to cheer on and just celebrate them. And usually it's a combination of all of that. And those are some of the commonalities I find: discernment and decisiveness.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like just on the heels of that, I want to express gratitude for who you are as a human and the work that it is that you're doing, because the generation of young people right now need more opportunities for those conversations and to be gently held as they are kind of navigating that, because it's daunting to be decisive, right? Because oftentimes our 18 or 20 or 22-year-old brain thinks, this decision is going to change the trajectory of my life. And it's really hard to figure out what it is that you're doing 2 days from now, let alone 2 weeks from now, let alone 2 years from now. And so we don't have crystal balls, but the benefit to that is you say yes to something and it opens doors that you would potentially never know even existed. And so that's kind of the world that we live in. And in case you are curious about AdventureEXP and connecting with Adam, please freaking reach out. Like, I cannot plug this program enough. It is
We're
awesome.
Here to help. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I feel like that's it. Now I am really stuck on the fact that you're getting ready to go biking. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to be done.
Don't you worry. Yeah.
We'll make sure
there's something coming up for me. Do you want me to share a story that's coming up maybe on this? Okay. So I think about, we all have limitations, whether it's time, energy, money, expectations from others, our expectation of where we want to go. I've been emailing back and forth with one of my mentees, a student who did a US program with us and then just finished our program this winter in New Zealand. And now he's traveling independently and he's feeling deeply inspired to travel to Asia, but he has ulcerative colitis and he had a flare up recently. And it's causing him to just come to terms with his own limitations and thinking, what level of decisions can I make? And is it irresponsible for me to go to a place with different diet and different, support systems and medical support and things like that? So he asked my opinion on it recently, and I just responded to his email this morning, so it's fresh in my mind, is with something like that is a lifelong thing he will likely carry with him. And it could be anything. It could be coming from a divorced home. It could be, never feeling seen. Whatever it is that you're coming with, whatever it is that's part of your armor that you carry with you, we're going to have it. And it's about finding ways to make magic within it. And my advice to him, and I'm not saying it's good advice, but is to say, if you're able to identify what is the maximum risk you're exposing yourself to, and within that maximum risk, what can actually be done? Let's say I'm in Taiwan for 2 weeks. Is there diet? Is there hydration? Is there medical facilities that I can stay within to find ways to do it responsibly and safely and still go out and live your life? Is it because it's ulcerative colitis and the things that come with that? Is it I'm going to stay in the hostel because I want group living while I'm there, but I'm going to spring for getting my own private bathroom because I don't want to deal with that and whatever that is? It's not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's about what's most right for you right now. And when I think about him, I mean, I adore this kid. I think he's an amazing, amazing man. And it's just coming up for me right now about how we learn to make magic within our own limitations.
Well, and I think it is spot on because we're dealing with more and more young adults that do have a lot of those things, like you said, carrying on their shield, chronic illness, physical disabilities, right? Like the trauma of the pandemic in itself did impact us, whether we want to acknowledge it. And so there's a lot more that we're navigating. And so I love that you also ended on that note, which does provide the opportunity, really, again, call to action. If you are a parent of a young adult or you are a young adult directly, regardless of what it is that you're dealing with right now, personally, indefinitely, or just for the time being, still reach out, learn more about AdventureEXP, connect with Adam. I mean, what I love about this story too is like, Adam, one of the things that I respect about you is that you're just a personable human. And so even if somebody is not a fit for your program, you just want to engage in dialogue because that's how you show up in this world. And so again, here's my call to action for anybody that's listening. Reach out to Adam because this is just the beginning of kind of a further or continued conversation of what could be. So Adam, thank you for being for being a guest on the podcast, taking time out to chat.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guest for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email joanna@lilleyconsulting.com. Be sure to check out the lilleyconsulting.com website for additional resources outside of podcasting. Now, if you're listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thanks again for listening in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.